Hey guys, what's up? Hey Kira, hey Peace, hey Autistic, hey Cool Gamer, Reagan, hey Kelsey, hey Melanie. How's everyone doing today? Hey Desiree, I think you're new. I haven't seen you before. Welcome. Okay, am I good for mods? Yeah, I got Autistic here. It reminds you of Thriller. Well, yeah, because it reminds me of the beginning of Michael Jackson, right? And then it goes into this other weird one. Hi, Indigo Halo. Yeah, I can give you my email. What is it? There we go. Hey, Lori. There's my email. All right, I'm trying to figure out how to start this. Can somebody put one of my mods put a trigger warning on? You know, I'm gonna make a new banner real quick and just put trigger warning. Yeah. There. That'll be good. Thank you. Hey, Laura. I'm trying to figure out how to start this. So I did a little dive there, looking for some stuff, and so I've got some articles to read. Hey, Grammy, and I've got a video that I'm going to show as well. I think after this, I'm going to do, Kira had suggested that I do this on the US side as well. And then after that one, I want to do, I'll just stick with what I'm talking about with Indigenous people. And I'm going to go to the Indigenous women that are missing on the Highway of Tears, because that needs to be said and done as well, because nobody is doing anything about it at all. There's so many missing, so many families that want answers. And then I just seen somebody, it was weird because somebody had posted on Twitter about Michigan, how they've got a lot of missing people, Indigenous people. And I thought maybe we could do that too. So it's going to be kind of like a little series here, I think, for every Friday, maybe. All right, what should I start with? Hold on, let me see. What's this article? All right, I'm going to just start with reading and then we'll watch a video. I just want to share it first. This is from BBC News, actually. All right. So this says here, Canada mourns as remains of 215 children found at Indigenous school. Here's the school. This is the Kamloops Indian Residential School, and this one's in British Columbia. And it says it once housed 500 people. It's sad. I mean, trigger warning, guys. Like, this is, if I'm quite honest, this is fucking disgusting. What they did to these kids, try and conform them to our ways. It's pure communism, like, to make Indigenous people be like us because they didn't understand them. You know what I mean? It just makes me fucking sick. It really does. It's really sad. All right. Unmarked graves containing the remains of 215 children have been found in Canada at a former residential school set up to assimilate Indigenous people. The children were students at Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia that closed in 1978. The discovery was announced on Thursday by the chief of the Kamloops. I don't even know how to say that, so I'm not even going to bother. But it was from a First Nation. It was announced on Thursday by the chief of a First Nation. Okay. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said it was a painful reminder of a shameful chapter of our country's history. I don't like that guy, sorry. The First Nation is working with museum specialists in the coroner's office to establish the causes and timings of the deaths, which are not currently known. Rosanna Cashmere, the chief of the community in British Columbia city of Kamloops, said the preliminary finding represented an unthinkable loss that was never documented by the school's administrators. How is that? How are people allowed to get away with that? How do they get away with that? If there's 200, they're saying right now, and they were all deaths, right? And it was never documented by the school administrators. These parents clearly would have questions. Just remember, these children were ripped from their parents' arms, telling them, no, your child's not going to end up like you. Your ways are wrong. They're going to the school and they're going to act like us white people. I'm not even kidding. It's disgusting. It's probably making me cry. Okay, I'm just going to take some drink, breathe. Canada's residential schools were compulsory boarding schools run by the government and religious authorities during the 19th and 20th centuries, with the aim of forcibly assimilating Indigenous youth. The names of the school victims are right here. The schools that had cemeteries instead of playgrounds. Oh my God. I'm going to read this and then I don't know, we'll see if we want to look at that. I don't know if I want to. Kamloops Indian Residential School was the largest in the residential system. Opened under Roman Catholic administration in 1980, the school has had many as 500 students when enrollment peaked in the 1950s. And again, religion is involved. Wow. The central government took over administration of the school in 1969, operating it as a residence for local students until 1978 when it was closed. What do we know about the remains? So the Kamloops Sequipin, I can't pronounce the last name, but it was a First Nation. I feel I should have did my due diligence and learned how to pronounce that because that's very important, and I feel like a piece of crap. So the First Nation said the remains were found with the help of a ground-penetrating radar during a survey of the school. So if they didn't do the survey of the school, nobody would have ever known. To our knowledge, these missing children are undocumented deaths, Mrs. Cashmere said. Some were as young as 3 years old. We sought out a way to confirm that, knowing out of our deepest respect and love for those lost children and their families, understanding the First Nation is the final resting place of these children. This here, it says the analysis of the remains is still going on. The tribe said it had reached out to the home communities whose children attended the school. They expected to have a preliminary finding by mid-June. British Columbia's chief coroner, Lisa Lapointe, told Canadian broadcaster CBC, "We are early in the process of gathering information." What reaction has there been? Well, the reaction has been one of shock, grief, and contrition. The news that remains were found at the former Kamloops residential school breaks my heart, Mr. Trudeau wrote in a tweet. That he did. He says, so Mr. Trudeau says, the news that remains were found at the former Kamloops residential school breaks my heart. It's a painful reminder of the dark and shameful chapter of our country's history. I am thinking about everyone affected by this distressing news. We are here for you. Right. I don't believe that for a second. Um, all right. Canada's Minister of Indigenous Relations, Carolyn Bennett, said residential schools were part of a shameful policy. The government was committed to memorializing those lost innocent souls, she said. Terry Teegee, the regional chief of British Columbia's Assembly of First Nations, called finding such grave sites urgent work that refreshes the grief and loss of communities in the region. Those views were echoed by other Indigenous groups, including the First Nations Health Authority, FNAH. That this situation exists is sadly not a surprise and illustrates the damaging and lasting impacts, and the residential school system continues to have on First Nations people, their families, and communities. Its CEO, Richard Jock, wrote in a statement. Thing is, though, these Indigenous people are still going through things. Still to this day. They're still missing women on the Highway of Tears in Canada. There's still a lot of racism. There's, you know what I mean? I mean, it just doesn't end. What were residential schools? Okay, so about 1863 to 1998, more than 150,000 Indigenous children were taken from their families and placed in these schools. Can you imagine people coming to your door demanding your fucking children because they're going to put them in a school to make them not like you so they don't believe what you believe? They don't. I was going to check chat real quick because I'm sure somebody said something and I may have questions. Hey, Flare Bear. It is a sad, very sad story. Yeah, I know. I'm pissed. Evil always hides behind religion. Yes, absolutely, Melanie. And that's why I made a point to say that, because it's true. It really is. I'm not against people's beliefs. I'm against the religion. I find all of them are very cult-like. Hey, SD. How this went on for so long and no one knew. I call bullshit. Me too. There's no one. They knew. Of course the parents of these children, I would imagine, are sitting there going, like, how dare they take their kids? You cannot do that. Hey, Yamasushiro. I can't stay long, but I cannot wait to watch this replay. Thank you for talking about this. No problem, honestly. It needs to be said. I want to do the highways tears after. After I do the US version, I want to know what's going on in Michigan, because I just seen an article about that and it's bullshit. It's not just Canada. Canada's the worst for it, from my understanding. But the US had part of this. It was okay. Brittany's saying US was worse. Wow. Fear, obedience, and are hallmarks of high control religions. Colonizers use God to control the Indigenous people everywhere. Yes, thank you, Kira. She said it perfectly. Yes, the US was worse. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Chronic. I can't stay long. Oh, I just read that. Thank you for becoming a member. The webs of lies. That's cute. My brothers are disgusting pieces of shit, and they are CP assholes and missionaries. Holy crap, girl. I agree with you. Ugh, yeah. Sad but true. Why does it always go blue when I'm trying to? Okay, sad but true. Canada is light years ahead of the US. Your government up there is still at least acknowledging this. Americans have been dragging our heels on this issue still. Well, we're going to blast it, Kira. Thank you. Kira's the one that brought it up that we should do this. And I never did talk about this. I never did. And I don't even know why. I think it was more a lot of people, there really wasn't a lot of people actually covering it. It's more like a touchy subject. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to do good with this. I don't know if people want to hear this. I just don't know. I wasn't very big when this was out a year ago. So I wasn't even a big channel. I didn't even know if anybody would care to listen. But now I'm glad you mentioned it, because it needs to be said. It really does. All right, go back to reading this. I think there's some clips in here as well. All right. So listen to this. From about 1863 right up until 1998, more than 150 Indigenous children were taken from their families and placed in these schools. I had to read that. I just can't imagine the parents. I mean, I would have my guns out, even though it's Canada. Yeah, I would hope at least one of them did. Whatever weapon they had, I'd be using it. You're not taking my fucking kid. The children were often not allowed to speak their language or to practice their culture, and many were mistreated and abused. This is 100% facts. That's why they took the children. They don't want them to speak their language. They don't want them to practice their culture. Never, ever, ever, ever. They're told and taught that it's bad. It's wrong. They have to be like the white people. A commission launched in 2008 to document the impacts of this system found that large numbers of Indigenous children never, ever returned to their home communities. What? How's that even possible? The landmark Truth and Reconciliation report released in 2015 said the policy amounted to cultural genocide. In 2008, the Canadian government formally apologized for the system. It took them until 2008. Yet it says here 1998, right to 1863, 1998, they knew about this. They were taking their children. They knew about this in 1998, and it took them until 2008 to fucking apologize. The Missing Children Project documents the deaths and the burial places of children who died while attending the schools. To date, more than 4,100 children who died while attending a residential school have been identified, it says. Holy shit. Oh my God. The nun rubbed my face in my own urine. Can we play this?
Ready to
Sorry, I need to mute myself really quick. That's the thing. There's nuns there in this school. You know what I mean? You're supposed to trust these people. Yeah, right. My hubby is a distant relative of Andrew Jackson on his mother's side. The Trail of Tears. He was a racist. I'm sorry about that. Just popping by. Changed my name again to let's chat about it too. The Web of Lies. Was my name patron. Also, love your inspiration. I need sleep, so I will play. No worries. No worries. Just watch it after. Yes, I've been teaching my kids, nieces, and nephews about it. This has to be talked about. You know what? They need to talk about this as well as not only with slavery, but they need to, with what happened with Black people. That absolutely needs to be talked about. But I think they need to put what's been going on with these children in it as well for the new, you know what I mean, for the new generation of people. I really do. Both of them is disgusting. Same with even what they did with the Jews. All of that needs to be talked about so it never happens again to any person ever. The ghosts left behind need to find rest. I don't think they will, Kira. I wish I knew how to do that for them because I would help them. Honestly, I would find any way to get there and I would do it. They weren't allowed to speak. Weren't allowed to speak their language at all. No, you're right. They weren't. I don't know why they're making it seem like they could speak it sometime. They were not allowed at all. I believe that. I live near Saginaw Chippewa Reservation. Do you really? Oh. I have a family friend that lived through it. Her siblings, mom, and grandparents were all in Really? Do you? I don't mean to pry or anything, but Yama, do you think that maybe they'd like to speak? They don't have to show their face or anything, or even tell their name, but maybe come on panel and tell their story. I mean, I want to keep doing this every Friday. Just keep bringing this up because it needs to be said. Hopefully we get some good eyes on this. Um, I'm not gonna keep bugging you about it or anything like that, but I think that would be wonderful. Any of them that had an experience, I would love that. Just to get a firsthand experience, because not that I don't believe it, but I think it means more when you have someone who's actually lived through with it. Then you could see the pain in their face. You can hear it in their voice. I didn't see my notification. No, it's okay, honey. They made it out alive. Oh, I'm so happy for that. Whereas others didn't. In some cases, that is true. I was a saint in Sunday school and no one did anything. No, and they won't do anything about it. No, not at all. I did contracts for Indian health services for years. Our government was constantly being sued. No doubt, as they should have been. It is horrible, Brenda. I'm just started. I'm just barely peeling the veil here. It's ridiculous and nasty. Like, it is. In the US, mega Republicans are banning books about race in school. That is some bullshit. No, don't. They can't. How do they get away with that? This shit happened. And you know what? If people forget about it because they don't want to acknowledge that they were pieces of shit and done it to these people, then you know what? It's going to happen again. It may be hard to hear for people. You know what though? We weren't the people that this happened to. People need to learn about this. Absolutely. I will definitely ask her. I think she will. I would really, 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 really think that would be really good to get her perspective and just, or I don't even need to tell her, ask her anything. I just want to let her speak. Okay, you'll text her now? All right. Hey, Mellylyn. My great grandmother was picked up from a convent because she needed to marry a white dude. And it was told down to all of us that he picked her out of a lineup and at age 13 off with a strange guy. Oh my god, wow. By elections. Is there any way to fight that though, Brittany? Like, do you think, is there any petitions or any way of writing to them? Because we should get that going. If it's not already, so they are banning, they haven't banned it yet. Now they're trying to ban sexual education. What is wrong with that government? Wow. All right, I'm just going to mute myself and we'll watch this. So this is a survivor. So BBC News, if correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the UK news channel. They're even talking about. I could be completely wrong though.
Any explanation with where the Pine Creek Residential School was? So I was one of the last residential school survivors to attend there. And part of the residential school, we attended church here every Sunday, the whole 3.5 years that I was here, along with my siblings. There were strappings, there was ear pulling, there was soap put in our mouth if we talked back or if we spoke our language. And what happened as a result of that fear, I started wetting my bed. I peed probably the first year maybe every night, and that nun rubbed face in my own urine. I'm telling you, I cried more. I cried louder, and then she threatened me more. Stop crying. So I went to bed hurt physically, emotionally, mentally. I went to bed hurting, and I woke up the same way. This would be my spot. I'd feel the warmth of the sun for 3.5 years. Just this was my favorite spot. My reconciliation includes reconciling with that 5-year-old boy, and that nothing was his fault. Nothing was his fault. Nothing was my fault. Nothing. I was a pure little boy when I walked on those steps. When the nun put her hand on me, that was the beginning, the shattering of my foundation, of my family foundation. It's a song. Away, ha, away, ha, away, ha.
I just broke my heart. I'm just picturing him as a young man, you know what I mean? I came from an abusive home, so I mean, I doubt I got what he got, but that. I absolutely believe paranormal activities could decrease simply by acknowledgement, respect, and patience. That would make total sense. This is really bad. Like, this really sucks. I feel so bad. They think they're doing God's work. Yeah. Do they ever? I think they need to just. I think they all need to be in jail for what they did. I have to go, but like I said, I am definitely coming back for the replay. I will probably just let you know in the comments when I hear back. Bye, guys. Okay, you have a good night, Yama. They're not just trying to make us dumb and pregnant. I know. They're doing what? They're banning the books about Anne Frank and the Holocaust. They are trying to ban everything about past history. Look at what DeSantis did to to the immigrants yesterday. I actually told my son that I think it would be good for him one day to read Anne Frank. Yeah, Florida needs to get rid of them, period. Yep. I voted against DeSantis and pray every day we get a good governor this time around. I hope so too, guys. Yeah. Oh my God, like I can imagine it because from my childhood, but I guarantee it's not even 25% of what he got. In the late 70s and early 90s, many priests getting caught up with the white altar boys. The church would punish the priests by sending them to these types of schools. I bet they would. They need to get more than just him. I'm just glad my parents taught me to accept everyone. Yeah. Yep. To run these types of schools. That is not God's work. Those people are Satan. Yeah. And I don't know why there's no repercussions for any of this. Why are these people in handcuffs? Why isn't anybody charged? Why is just, oh, we found these mass graves from people that done this so long ago? No, it was continuing right up until 1998. Let me see what's the rest of this. All right, that was the end of this article. There's a whole bunch more. This is from 2020, 2019, even 2015, The Truth About Canada's Cultural Genocide. This one's kind of long, but I wanna just read off all the facts I can. People need to know about this. If any of you have any information or have something you'd like me to read or to share, just let me know. Even if you can't think of anything in this stream, um, just write in the comment section. I try my best to get to you guys. I think I do a pretty good job. I'm pretty sure I at least like every comment and try and say something back when something is, you know, said and you guys have questions or whatever. But just let me know. The more information, the better. I might have to do this. Not like I have to do it. I'm saying like I want to do this. I might have to because of all the information. Have to continue doing this every Friday for a while. And you know what? I'm going to do it. They deserve justice. I can't imagine. Canada is at least acknowledging this. Not so many places in the U.S. Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring the U.S.'s attention make them wake up, because I'm not going to stop doing this. Still going on here in America. They poison the tribal water supply. Oh my God. It's really sick. And hubby and I just found our heritage Blackfoot with me and Cherokee. Hubby was good. I'd be so proud too. That's amazing. I'm so tired of the hate. So am I, Deb. So am I. The fall of the cable would be the best place to start your dive. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Thank you. Like, I know about this. I know what happened. I've read news articles, but I am not a historian. I do not know everything, and I want to know everything. Yeah, someone's got someone. I think there should be more people on this. I can't believe there's not. Me too, Kira. Yeah, Mirror, or not Mirror, sorry, Deb. Um, yeah, it had me. Yeah, I was tearing up. I mean, it's how could you not? I will join you on this too. Awesome. The more eyes, the better, Lori. That would be amazing. Because your relation to Indigenous, you have a relation there. So even you speaking on the topic would be anytime you want to. That would be amazing. It needs to be said. It needs. We have a governor race. The Republican nominee wants to do away with our election. Wow. It all starts with one voice, unafraid to make folks uncomfortable. Yeah, it really does. I think that we should actually go deeper into this, and with schools banning stuff, I think that we should make a noise about that as well. Like I said, you talk on Friday, and I will utilize your stuff on Twitch. When I game, yeah, great grandma was Blackfoot, so proud. That's I love that for you. Yeah, because like I told you, Lori, before, don't be afraid to share. Don't even share them. Just if you want them on in the background when you're playing Minecraft, which I think is so cute, by the way. I love it. It is funny because you're good at it. I suck, but I was watching you. Play whatever video you see fit. I would never strike you, and I think that's a good idea. Well, votes mostly, yeah. All right, I'm gonna read this. Was it this? Yeah, it was this one. And it's Friday night, so I can be on here for a while if you guys want to as well. Whatever helps. And you notice how there's not a lot of people in here? I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but that just proves my point that no one cares. And I don't mean my other subs. Sorry, I don't mean that. I'm trying to say this in a nice way possible. It's not a big, I guess, a good enough subject that people want to listen to. Who knows? Maybe I'll get more people watching it. I hope so. I'll keep going, keep making them every Friday. I didn't mean disrespect to any of my other subs. Maybe they're busy or something, but I just mean normally, when it's like drama, everybody's here, but when it's something serious, nobody is. And that's fine with me, to each their own. I just hope this gets a lot of eyes on it. I really do. Hey, Melinda. Hey, Piper. You finally caught a live. Yeah, it's a serious subject tonight. Yeah, Deb, do it. We should all do it on all of our channels, honestly. Deb, you do it too. Yeah, because you are in the US, right? So you could do that. I'm gonna do all over the place and just keep doing it every Friday until I've, run out of things to show and read and watch. That would be a good idea. The more eyes, the better. And then I'll come watch you as well. Gotta go to be early morning at the Ham Club. We building antennas to do fox hunted. So excited. We will watch the rest of my game right now. All right, sounds good, Lori. Have a good night. Holy, the title speaks very clearly here. Thousands of Native children died in Canada's residential schools. Actually, before I read this, so last year, my son we were doing homeschool for him, and he had to work on a lot of projects, which had to do um, a lot with Indigenous people. So he got to pick a tribe to study, and he was doing this all year long. My son is now obsessed with Indigenous people. He loves their culture. He loves the food they make. He loves how they use everything, bits and parts of animal to make things. He thinks it's great. All right. Recent media reports have noted research showing that at least 3,000 children are now known to have died while attending Canada's Aboriginal residential schools. We now know from the article I just read that it's over 4,000 now, not 3,000. First it was 200, 3,000, now it's 4,100. Wow. There shouldn't even be one. The findings were released last month by Alex Maz, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission researcher managing the Commission's Missing Children Project. They called it a project, eh? Yeah. Maz claims that results are part of the first systemic research of government, school, and other records and provide primary documentation identifying deaths, when they occurred, and the circumstances. For over a century, a system of residential schools operated in Canada under financial and administrative arrangements between the Government of Canada, wow, the Roman Catholic, of course, Anglican, Methodist, and United Churches, Presbyterian, and United Churches. In all, over 150,000 First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children passed through more than 130 residential schools in virtually every part of Canada. An estimated 70,000 to 80,000 former students of residential schools are alive today, they're saying. Really? The Canadian government established this system in the 19th century, with the first schools opening in the late 1870s. Funded by the Department of Indian Affairs and run by the churches, these schools were integral in the government's strategy for opening up Canada's vast northwestern territories to European settlement. Under this strategy, Canada's native peoples were herded into reserve land, while their children were taken away and placed in residential schools under this so-called civilizing influence of the churches and other state agents. The last of these schools closed in 1996, but I just read in the other article they said 1998. The schools are based on models taken from youth reformatories and jails. Holy shit. At least they admit it. It's just scary to read this. Children were collected from their parents, sometimes at gunpoint, by police, and cut off from their families. Oh my God, it's good. Okay, huge trigger warning, guys. I mean, huge. Okay. Once delivered to the schools, they were subjected to a controlled and disciplined environment that combined religious instruction with basic skills training. Living conditions were harsh, with many children physically beaten and sexually abused. Thousands contracted tuberculosis and died while in school custody. How the fuck is that even allowed? I'm sorry, when I get mad, I use the F word. It's kind of hard to shut my mouth when it comes to this stuff. I mean, how were they not investigated with all these thousands of children? I do not understand this. I don't give a fuck if they're black, purple, green, red, or orange. They're children. They're people, for fuck's sakes. What the hell? And what pisses me off the most is they bring it around religion. God doesn't judge. God loves everyone. God loves everything, right? So why the fuck were these kids being judged if they want to bring religion into it? This is what kills me about religion. I'm glad people have someone to believe in. I really am. I wish I could. But when this shit happens, it makes it really fucking hard. The nature of what happened in these schools has become a bitter contest between Native activists and residential school survivors on the one side and church and state officials on the other. Oh, of course. Activists allege murder and genocide and have made angry demands for investigation, prosecution, and compensation. The state, for its part, has spent tens of millions on a truth and reconciliation process in an attempt to avoid liability and bolster its political allies. Wow. Beep, beep. Let's go check the chat here. Sorry for my mouth, guys. My maternal great-grandfather was full Cherokee. Sadly, I never got to meet her, my grandma. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet her. It's the same with Adam Walsh, Knight, and Charles. It's the same with Adam Walsh, Knight, and Charles Manson Knight. Basically anything that is true crime. Yeah, people just don't want to hear it. I came to your live to hear your sexy, soothing voice and take a break. I've been up all night. I just love you, Emily Cow. Oh my god. Thanks. Did need a little giggle there. Dealing with the kitten and listening. Oh, I love your kittens. She is a soothing people. No, get it right, Melanie. It's sexy. Your son is a star seed. Amazing how much knowledge they can absorb in such a short period of time. It's beautiful. My son, everybody will say that about their children, right? My son is the world to me. He is such a gentle and old soul. He's amazing. He has a heart. He's learning about Indigenous peoples. He doesn't know about the children yet. He's 11 years old. I don't want to break his freaking heart, you know what I mean? But I think that he should learn in little increments. He's interested. He wants to know how, they make their hides and how they do all this other stuff. Cooking and what they ate. He already knows all that. We know of it. And some of it we were going to make. I forgot all about it, but I'm going to write that down because it was actually sounding really good. Because they'd have different meals for different holidays and different celebrations and all the stuff they use. Like I never would think of using it. I never even had it. Nikki, was the government aware of the situation and chose to ignore it? Absolutely, Piper. Absolutely. And that's what's gut-wrenching about this. I do not know much about Canadian tribes, but I have an understanding of the tribal nations here in the US. Yeah, yeah. I've got a lot of First Nations on Dad's side. I've actually found a couple family surnames on a list of Melundians, a tri-racial group of people throughout the Appalachian Mountains. Oh, cool. Hi, Debs Brian. My question is, what is the treaty that the Canadian government have with their tribes? I think that treaty is bullshit. And I think that it definitely was used to hurt them. That treaty, I believe, is just a load of crap. Yeah, I'm trying, Melinda. It's just, I put a part of the blame on bad tribal chiefs. Oh, really? I didn't mean that in like a condescending bitch way. I was just like, I never even thought of that. I don't know what to say to that. Wouldn't even think that for myself. I don't know of any information about that, but I'm gonna learn. I've known people that have passed on now that went to boarding school. Do you really? And you're in the US? Do you know their stories? Like, I could just imagine. Hey, Stella. I heard about this a few years ago. I also heard about all the missing women in Canada. Yes, that's the... yeah, we're going to get into that next, Laura. After all this. in the Canadian side, we're going to do the US side, and then I'm going to go into the missing Indigenous women here because it's still going on and nobody's doing anything. It is all over the world, yeah. Yep, there is. We're going to do that next, Mamu. Yep. Okay, you're my guilty pleasure. In the US, we may have lost more lives on the Pacific shore, except for the Cherokee Nation. Imagine defending the country that did this thing. I know, right? Like, what the hell? During World War II. No, don't worry that you're late. Please don't be. I'm sorry you're not having a good day. The Wind Talkers. I like that. Code Talkers. I had heard on a documentary that the U.S. government never kept any records on missing tribal women and children. You know what? I believe that 100%, and I would think Canadian did the same thing because they did. Hey, y'all, I have my great-grandmother is 100% Cherokee, and on the other side, both grandparents are half each. I'd love to go to Cherokee. I used to go all the time. My mom is buried up there. Aw, I'm sorry about your mom being gone and your grandparents. That's awesome. I would love to hear if you have any stories about them, Sella. While I'm doing this, I'm going to do this every Friday for a while. It needs to be known, you know. Jumping back in to say that my friend said she's definitely thinking about it. She has a horrible migraine. Is there a way I can send you links to some of her daughter's TikToks? Yeah, you can send me them. I have email. I've got Twitter. Here. Hey, Teresa. Here's my email. And that's my Twitter, and my IG is the last one. Someday, Nikki, your son will never know why you bitched about KJ, but he will be proud of his mama. I made a video about this tonight. Thank you for saying that. You know, and you're right, because he would. He would probably, like, if he even heard a little bit of the word Indigenous, he'd come right out here. And then if he saw what I was doing, which I really don't want him to right now, honestly, it's too much. He's 11 years old. He needs to know there's some things that happen. He knows that they weren't good to Indigenous people at all. He does know that. And he knows that they lost their land and whatnot. He just doesn't know all the specifics. But one day he's going to know. He needs to know. Stella Rose, Cherokee, and see if so. I love it there. You know their stories. Wow. Anytime anybody wants to share a story, you're more than welcome. That's what this is going to be about every Friday. Okay, guys? He's definitely Shalon. I've always told my son, if an older person wants to talk to you, you listen. You will learn the most valuable information of your life. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I still love listening to my grandmother and grandfather's stories. They beat the language out of you. Damn right they did. Damn right they did. It's disgusting. Yes, Cherokee NC. I love it there. Also good vibes. Okay, I will send you through IG. I gotta run, but I won't forget. And I heard every Friday count me in. Yes, we'll do this every Friday. It needs to be known, and we need to do this. It's the right thing to do, and I'm very, 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 very happy about putting all this information out because it needs to be said and done. The treaty in the U.S. is interesting. It is just recently that tribes started to work together in U.S. politics. I am a part of a tribe. Are you really? Wow. I did not know that. I'm sorry this happened. You know, it may have not happened to you. It may have a little bit. I don't know. Either way, I'm sorry on behalf of us Canadians. We're pieces of shit. Not me in general or you guys, but they are. All right. Battle lines between these camps first hardened in the 1990s when activists organized an independent tribunal into Canadian Indian residential schools, convened under the auspices of the UN-affiliated International Human Rights Association of American Minorities. The tribunal's June 1998 Vancouver hearings documented that every act defined as genocide by the UN Convention of 1948 occurred in Canadian residential schools. The tribunal concluded that Indian residential schools were conceived and operated for more than a century as an enormous system of terror aimed at children as part of a larger program of ethnic annihilation and land theft. The testimony supporting these claims was at times shocking. Elder Irene Fable told a 1998 town hall forum, "I went to residential school in Muskowquan." I totally botched that. I know. I'm sorry. From 1944 to 1949, and I had a rough life. I was mistreated in every way. There was a young girl, and she was pregnant from a priest there. Of course. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't doubt it. Got it. And what they did, she had her baby, and they took the baby and wrapped it up in a nice pink outfit. They took it downstairs where I was cooking dinner with the nun. They took the baby into the no. They took the baby into the furnace room, and they threw that little baby in there and holy fucking shit. What? All you could hear was this little cry like, oh, and that was it. You could smell that flesh cooking. Oh my God. How the hell is this even okay? Holy fuck. This is a lot. The year 1998 was also when Colin Tatz published his discussion paper, Genocide in Australia. What? It's in friggin' Australia too? The paper examined the genocidal practices perpetrated against Australian Aborigines and would be followed by court cases related to the stolen generations. These events occurred within the context of Australia's history wars over the government's treatment of its Aboriginal peoples. By the year 2000, Canadian churches faced more than 10,000 lawsuits from survivors. Good! Good! Claiming that these suits would bankrupt their institutions, the churches successfully lobbied the government to enact legislation limiting the scope of lawsuits and assuming primary liability for residential school damages. Holy fuck. Courts in Alberta and the Maritimes subsequently denied survivors the right to sue the churches for violation of their civil rights and for genocide. Wow. Later on, judicial decisions across Canada restricted the claims of survivors and prevented them from suing the churches for any issues beyond tort of offenses of physical and sexual abuse. How is that even legal? It was in this context that the largest class action lawsuit in Canada to date, brought on behalf of tens of thousands of survivors across Canada, culminated in 2007 with the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement. Good. The agreement established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to contribute to truth, healing, and reconciliation. The commission, whose mandate expires in 2014, was granted $60 million in funding. On June 11, 2008, Prime Minister Stephen Harper delivered to Parliament a statement of apology on behalf of the Government of Canada to survivors of residential schools. In the apology, the Prime Minister stated that the entire policy of assimilation implemented by the system of residential schools was wrong, has caused great harm, and has no place in our country. While the Prime Minister spoke of the policy as one of killing the Indian in the child, the allegations of actual child murder and genocide were neither acknowledged nor addressed. Of course it wasn't, because none of these fucks can take responsibility, ever. Instead, it sounds like to me that they blame the church on everything. But they won't mention about the police coming in their homes with guns and taking their children right from under their noses, right? No, of course not. Both the opposition Liberals and the NDP towed the official line. Opposition leader Stephen Dion acknowledged the government's shared responsibility and complicity in the abuse of thousands of Aboriginal children, but said not one word on the more serious allegations. The Bloc Québécois, Giles Desoup, and the NDP's Jack Layton both offered similar limited apologies. That's just fucking gross. Why bother? Why bother if you're not going to apologize for everything? You don't get to pick and choose. In short, the preliminary apology capped early legislative and judicial proceedings and signaled that allegations of murder or genocide were not to form any part of the official history. Wow, I think that's the most important part, if you ask me. Let's go check chat real quick. I think all kids should learn about past history so they can learn and grow from past history and try to make the world a better place. I do too, because it's just going to happen again. I get travel news and it is interesting the shifts that are happening. I hope it's good shifts though, Laura. I really do. Just curious if anyone in Australia would contribute, as I believe that they might have similar experiences, but literally don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't even think of Australia, but if you think about it, guys, Indigenous people are all over the world, right? They were the first ones here. I would be interested to see exactly. I wonder if I can get someone to speak on that. Actually, you know who I could reach out to is Crystal Bell. She's in Australia. She might have some info. You're right. It's so sad so many girls get ARD and nothing is done. And in schools, it's horrible. And the CPS will just take the children to traffic them. Yeah, I've heard that. And that's definitely a lot of it's what's happening. This is why I was going off on the RCC the other night. Well-run reason. So many babies' bones have been found in so many places for unwed mothers. They just killed them. So sad. It pissed me. Oh my God. I don't understand how anyone can hurt a child. They didn't ask to be here. I don't understand. You can just put that child in the fire. That is unbelievable. Money can't undo what has been done. No. Me either. If anyone wants to know if there's evil, anyone who hurts children are evil. Yeah, and they should all be locked up. They should all be on death row. We can't just sweep this crap under the rug and expect us to just shut up, bastards. No, we're not going to. Fuck that. We can all blame politics and religion for this all around the world, in my opinion. Yeah, you are correct, Melanie. They're all involved. Wow. Nice government, guys, right? I mean, we all knew, though. The government is not to be trusted. Absolutely not. Since then, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the media have promoted this official line. The commission, chaired by Aboriginal Judge Murray Sinclair, produced a report entitled, "They Came for the Children." Both the commission and its report have taken fire for refusing to deal with the more serious allegations. However, the commission, in a struggle to maintain its credibility, has in turn blamed the federal government for withholding documents vital to its core mandate. You can't withhold things, so I'd love to know how they get away with that. In December 2012, the Commission filed an application with Ontario Superior Court asking the court to clarify the government's obligations in this regard. The Commission also agreed to support Missing Children Research Project. The project originated with the Commission's Working Group on Missing Children and Unmarked Burials, which noted, questions into incidents of death and disappearance in the residential schools were raised publicly in early 2007, although survivors and their supporters have been concerned with these issues for many years. Project manager Alex Ma's preliminary findings of the deaths of 3,000 children were reported in February. They were quickly disputed by Native organizations. However, for instance, Ma's report claimed 222 children died in the entire Northwest Territories. However, at just one territorial residential school location in Fort Providence, there are 300 children buried in a single common grave. Oh my God, I don't even want to say that. Ma's research attributed many of the residential school deaths to tuberculosis. Of course, I figured they would do that. Media reports have claimed that the deaths were often due to institutional ignorance of the disease prevention and treatment. Thing is, though, even if it was due to some of them it was due to tuberculosis. Why the fuck are the families being notified? Why can't they see their kids? Why can't you cannot do that? I do not understand how this has happened. I can't comprehend it. A February 18 CBC report, for example, noted, for decades, starting in about 1910, Tuberculosis was a consistent killer, in part because of widespread ignorance over how diseases were spread. The statement, however, is incorrect. People at that time knew quite well how tuberculosis was spread. For instance, according to the Lung Association, the sanatorium age in Canada began in 1876. The sanatorium was designed to treat the disease by the demonstrated value of rest, fresh air, good nutrition, and isolation to prevent the spread of infection. This was the exact opposite of how residential schools operated, in which sick children were routinely mixed with the healthy in atrocious living conditions. The fatal results were both foreseeable and preventable. Exactly. It shouldn't have happened. These practices were so obviously contrary to TB tuberculosis treatment as to attract contemporary concern. In 1907, Dr. Peter Bryce, Chief Medical Officer for the Federal Department of Indian Affairs, wrote to Deputy Superintendent for Indian Affairs Duncan Campbell and says, I believe that conditions are being deliberately created in our Indian boarding schools to spread infectious diseases. The death rate often exceeds 50%. This is a national crime. Agreed, but I need you to speak out more. Bryce went on to write a book published in 1922, titled The Story of a National Crime, being a record of the health conditions of the Indians of Canada from 1904 to 1921. In this book, Bryce cited evidence that in every school he inspected, staff regularly and deliberately housed healthy children with those sick and dying of tuberculosis, then denied treatment and care to all of them. Bryce also claimed that school staff and their church employers regularly concealed or distorted the enormous death rate and the cause of death of so many children. The Commission and mainstream media continue to evade issues of knowledge and intent, which inevitably lead to questions of state and church policy, and finally to genocide. Telling and perhaps chillingly, the article brushes up against all of these questions with Moz, quote, that student deaths were so much part of the system. Architectural plans for many schools included cemeteries that were laid out in advance of the building. That is just fucking disgusting. Tuberculosis continues to infect and kill Canada's native peoples at an alarming rate. What? According to Health Canada, the country's Aboriginal population are disproportionately affected by tuberculosis, a disease fueled by social factors like overcrowding and poverty, conditions rife on many native reserves. Wow. Just wow. Firing squad for pedos, dead pedophiles don't reoffend. Yeah, I agree. They should. Why are they being even let out? I blame all the men and women who wanted power and money. It's not just religion and government. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's so heartbreaking. Mass graves and so few names. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing even around me to suggest that any of this has happened. There's nothing. There's no monuments. There's no nothing. It's still happening, but new places, etc. Yeah. Where there are children, there are pedophiles, schools, baseball, CPS, daycares, churches, anywhere they can get their filthy hands on kids, that is where they are. Yeah, that's where they go, absolutely. Pharmaceutical companies and those kids in Canada add lab rats. Yeah. Yeah, you did tell me. I knew there was, Kira, but I just never covered it. It was too much. I was a small channel, and I honestly didn't think anybody would listen to me. So I'm glad you reminded me of it because it needs to be said. I have another article here. Yeah, it is real. There's some stuff I didn't even know, whereas there is stuff like the tuberculosis. I didn't know that. And they're putting the sick kids in with the healthy kids to purposely get them sick. And not only that, these schools were built with cemeteries knowing that these children were going to die due to their own hands, due to the diseases brought on by these people who are supposed to be raising these children. Who's doing this, Teresa? priests, nuns, the government, the police. They're all in when these children were in these residential schools, this is what would happen to them. I didn't know that either until I just read this, Kira. Holy fuck. I didn't know the U.S. had internment and concentration camps in the U.S. until my late 20s. Wow. I didn't know about that either. We should start calling Friday History Friday, and we should go over that as well. You know, we can't forget about this. Not that we would, but just people in general can't forget about this, because I'm telling you, history repeats itself. It's going to happen again. You can't just swipe this shit under the rug and expect it to go away. Not at all. Here's another article, and then we're going to watch a video. And if anybody wants to come up after, let's do it. I'm going to be right back. I need to grab a drink. I should probably do the phone book thing too. Okay, I'll mute myself then and put some tunes on. Let's pick a different one, a different song. We've got acoustic, dance pop, daydreaming, feeding the ducks. Let's do some feed the ducks. I'll be right back, guys. That was called feeding the ducks. We always protect citizens and distant relations. This is some murder shit. That is why. Wow. Oh my. This world is disgusting. It gets worse to hear these, but do listen to the fall of the Hollywood awakening. Absorb its I wrote it down so it's on YouTube. Right? If not, just type prepared on my face because I know these children rest. They roam around looking for their ancestors to help them pass. But you're right. That person not put it in half my classes. Oh, it sounded muffled? Sorry. Nobody can hear me? Seriously? Can you guys hear me? You barely hear me? I don't have a microphone. You can't hear me still? Is it a little bit better? That sucks. I don't know what to do. You sort of. Is this a little better? I don't know. I just need to go closer. I don't know what happened. It's low and a little echo. Maybe I should just leave it like that. Something. It's weird. I played that song and all this shit. Here, I'll go out and come back in. Is this any better? It works? Weird. So I played that song and then something must have happened. Good, I'm glad. All right. I rebuked the prince. Here is power now. Good. All right. We'll continue with this. So I'm going to read this article with you guys and then we'll watch a video. I don't know. It's Friday night. I just figured make this as long as we can. Then we'll just discuss it afterwards. I just want to get as much out as I can, and then next Friday I'm gonna stick with Canadian still and get some people up here, or maybe I'll do the States. I don't know. My computer does not like that duck song. It was like hell no to the quack quack quack. I was listening to a Twitch stream once, and I didn't know my mic was on until after I'd flushed the toilet. Check volumes first. It was the ghost taking my voice. I don't know. You didn't like my song, Ghost? Sorry, I didn't really care for it either, but I wanted to try something different. Canada first, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We'll do that first, and then after we do the U.S., then I want to go back into the Highway of Tears, and that's with the missing Indigenous women on the highway. All right, but I'll read this. All right, this one is called Genocide of Indigenous Children in Canada. Catholic Church run residential schools guilty of burying thousands of Indigenous children. I'm going to make this bigger. No, I don't want a visual search. Can I make this bigger? Oh my God, they're so cute. They're little hats. I wish I could make it bigger. Do you see them? Their little top hats. This one looks so scared. Nearly 1,000 bodies of Indigenous children were found in 2 mass graves in June 2021. These children were living in residential schools for Indigenous children run by the Catholic Church since 1831. Wow. Whatever, Trudeau. Listen to this. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has asked Pope Francis to apologize for the Catholic Church's role in running residential schools for Indigenous children. Trudeau's appeal came after nearly 1,000 bodies of Indigenous children were found in 2 mass graves in 2021 of June. In early June, 751 unmarked graves have been found at the site of Maryville Residential High School or School in Saskatchewan. A few weeks ago, 215 unmarked graves were discovered at a former residential school in Kamloops in British Columbia. Both schools were part of a system that took Indigenous children from their families over a period of about 113 years and housed them in boarding schools where they were prohibited from speaking their language. The mass graves were discovered by members of Indigenous communities through the use of ground penetrating radars. So they had to go look for their own people because the police wouldn't do shit. Nobody would help them. They had to do it themselves. The effort to find remains started at Kamloops School about 20 years ago. The school, which operated from 1890 until the late 1970s and was once Canada's largest, with 500 students at its peak. Among the 215 bodies found by the radar, there appears to be one of a child who died as young as 3. And Chief Roseanne Casimir of the, I can't pronounce that tribe, I can't pronounce it, of the TS, I don't know how to say it, First Nation. All of the children were buried decades ago, she said. Among the bodies found by the radar was a child who died as young as 3. All the children were buried decades ago. Leaders of Indigenous communities anticipated that more remains would be discovered as the ground scanned further. Catholic runs residential school system. Yeah. Believe in God, they said. Right. Look what happens. The Catholic Church removed about 150,000 Indigenous children from their families and brought them to Christian residential schools in order to assimilate Indigenous children into Western culture. The Catholic-run residential school system in Canada operated between 1831 and 96 in the late 19th century. Canada set aside land for Indigenous people through often dubious treaties, while outright seizing Indigenous land in some places, particularly in British Columbia. Around 1883, the federal government forced Indigenous children in many parts of Canada to attend residential schools, often far from their communities. The church-operated schools banned the use of Indigenous languages and Indigenous cultural practices, often through violence. The church removed about 150,000 Indigenous children from their families and brought them to Christian residential schools. The goal was to assimilate Indigenous children into Western culture through the notorious residential schools. The Catholic churches had banned the use of Indigenous language and cultural practices. Records show that disease as well as sexual, physical, and emotional abuse were widespread among Indigenous children in these schools. A National Truth and Reconciliation Commission set up by the Canadian government spent 6 years hearing from 6,750 witnesses to document the history of the schools. In a report in 2015, it concluded that the system was a form of cultural genocide. Some former students testified before the commission that priests at the schools had fathered infants with Indigenous students, that the babies had been taken away from their young mothers and killed, and that in some cases their bodies were thrown into furnaces. Many students also died from disease, accidents, fires, and during attempts to escape, according to the commission. It is to be noted that Pope Francis has not issued a direct apology over the church-run school system, but said he was pained by the discovery of mass graves of Indigenous children. Yeah, I bet he was. There's a lot of questions here from a guy named Tom. You want to read them? I'll check chat and see what you guys have to say. Hey, Susan. I've seen this story. It's sadly unforgivable, criminal, and godly evil. Yes, exactly. That was the first time I knew Canada had a history similar to what we had in the US last year. Yep. Screw Pope Francis. He's so evil. He is of his father, the devil. He's not a god. I agree 100%. Remember what I said about priests? Yeah, don't worry. I remember. I don't want to, but I remember. People need to be held a lot more accountable. It's nauseatingly unforgivable. I agree, and they're not. So I'm going to keep doing this until people, I don't know, start realizing that this shit is wrong and it's still going on. Last point, these schools also had a history of illegal abortion took place in those. Wow, I wouldn't doubt it. It's so disgusting. Such a racist crime. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Hands down. And to use religion is what makes it really even worse. These people lie and say they are Christian, but they are not. Sick bastards. I've studied deep into this stuff. I just get so mad. This is what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And that's why I don't like religion at all, because of shit like this. I do, however, understand people believing in something and believing in a God. I do believe that. What I don't agree with is the religion. That's what I don't agree with. Yeah, she does have gifts, Kira. Absolutely. This guy's got some questions here that are pretty good. What happened to the children that normally died of disease? The school operated over a long time while our world was very much more susceptible to death at an early age. There could even be possibility that some years merely everyone could be affected by a disease, i.e. polio. Were these mass graves, individual graves, or mass as in heaps of bodies buried together? The article starts off sounding like heaps of bodies buried together, but then in the next paragraph talks about graves sounding like maybe 1% of remains. Wow. Sometimes I really hate editors, only when they're too stupid to know correct grammar and spelling. Yeah. I've got a video here. It's 18 minutes long, and this one is called Stolen Children. Residential School Survivors Speak Out. I've already been subscribed to this channel. It's just CBC News, but there's a whole bunch of them over here. Canada's Dark Secret. Stories of Residential School Survivors. Susie Jones, residential school survivor, crimes against children at residential school, Where the Spirit Lives. Catholic Church ties to hide bodies of 800 children. The Lakota Daughters. The Disturbing Truth Behind America's Indigenous Boarding Schools. A Broken Trust. Sexual Assault on Tribal Lands. Like, there's so many videos. So many. All right, I'm going to share this video.
I got frightened. When I was a little girl, when the principal used to beat up the other children, like boys. The boys got the most beating. They used to bench party, and it was usually done after supper. And that's where I got frightened, because I saw blood.
I remember when we had a shower. We, you don't have to show me how to shower and clean and wash myself, how to wash my private and my, other parts of your body. You have to show a kid once or twice at the most, but not every day. And have the supervisor come in there and basically take advantage of you.
I just remember arriving there and donning new clothes and, of course, getting a haircut. and sitting in a classroom and being with other girls and witnessing my brother get punched by the supervisor.
My name is Alice Little Deer. I'm 78 years old. I spent about 8 years in residential school.
My name is Raymond Mason. I'm 62 years old, and I attended residential school for 12 years.
I'm Madeline Dion Stout. I'm 62 years old. I'm from the Kihiwan First Nation in Alberta. I attended Blue Quills Residential School for 36 consecutive months. That would be 3 years.
In order to educate the children properly, separate them from their families. Some people say that this is hard, but if we want to civilize them, we must do that. A federal cabinet minister, 1883.
I remember them taking me away from my mother and my stepfather. And I can hear them telling my mom that that was the best thing for me, and that not to worry, I would be looked after.
Our parents didn't want to worry us unduly and tell us and warn us that we are going to be separated for a long, long time with barely a visit.
I see him come around, Indian agent in a boat with the principal, then collect some children from the reserve. Then he would come back again, come and take some more.
So the next day, I woke up with hundreds of total strangers, my size, my age, and not knowing, what are they doing with all of us here? Why are there's so many of us here, and that's where a lot of my whole life really started to change, because I got strapped, I got beaten up for speaking my own native tongue. I even had my tongue pulled out and pinched.
My strongest memory there is when the little girl died beside me. She must have been about 6. I was scared why the parents were not there. That's what I was scared about.
I could not imagine going through this. A little girl died beside her, being taken from your home like that. So can you imagine what these children were thinking? Like, what's wrong with me? Am I not a good kid? Do my parents not want me? Do they not love me anymore? Will I ever see my parents again? My siblings? Am I going to die here? Is this what is this what the world is? This is what we're supposed to happen? Did I go here because I'm bad? Like, I have so many questions just as an adult. I'm sorry, Melanie. I know it has for me too. I just want to go punch one of these people in the face that did this to them. I'm sorry, Dad. Yeah, getting that out of your brain. Yeah, nice civilization. You fucking murdered them, bastards. Break them. That was the point. Break them and take their entire history from them. That is just disgusting. I don't understand this. I really don't.
And I knew they wouldn't feel comfortable not being there when their daughter's dying.
And do you know why they weren't there?
They were never notified.
Indian children in the residential schools die at a much higher rate than in their villages. But this does not justify a change in the policy of this department, which is geared towards a final solution of our Indian problem. Duncan Campbell Scott, Deputy Superintendent of Indian Affairs.
At that time, they never told us that our sisters were across the hallway. And I didn't know that for the longest time. Then I spotted my sister, Nora, and I was so glad and so hysteric. And I went running to her and I reached out to her, and just hugged her. And I was just shaking, like, and terrified. And I was wondering why she was pushing me away. I didn't realize that we weren't supposed to know that we both lived in the same place, and we weren't allowed to speak to each other. We weren't allowed to talk to each other. And I can remember the principal grabbing a hold of me by the hand, and I was jumping off the floor like that, and he stripped me. And he started whacking me with a long webbed strap. He was setting an example that, if you do this, is what's going to happen to you. And all the other boys were watching. and the girls were still going through,
Their education must consist not merely training of the mind, but of a weaning from the habits and feelings of their ancestors and the acquirements of the language, art, and customs of civilized life. Edgerton Ryerson, 1847 Report for Indian Affairs.
Visits from my parents were very rare, but I do recall one visit when my mother and father came. And I remember specifically my mother's red tam, that splash of color. I remember her getting out of the wagon, and I was crying already watching them because I was missing them already. They hadn't even walked through the door yet of the residential school, but I was missing them already. And when they were actually leaving, I cried until my nose bled.
and you learn pretty quick after getting those kind of beatings. Not strapping, it's literally beating.
They're all on the verge of tears. You can see the pain in their eyes. Yeah, exactly. I just took the words right out of my mouth. You can see the pain in their eyes when they were talking. Please share your link if anyone else knows a way to help these babies. They stole those children and killed them. And to call a Native American an Indian is racist. They're not from India. Thank you. That's why I keep saying Indigenous. That's what the proper term is. This poor, very brave. I know. I mean, can you imagine their freaking night terrors from this? Intrusive memories? I mean, I could just imagine, because they're grown up now and they have kids of their own. I bet their kids have the most amazing lives because of what their parents went through. Disgusting. I don't understand how these people weren't on death row, how they were, well, we don't have the death penalty in Canada, unfortunately, but I also don't understand how they weren't put in prison. This is just wrong on all levels. Yeah, major trigger warning. Oh, I don't have my trigger warning up again. Shoot, hold on. Just gonna keep that there. There we go.
Beings, And ever since that day, I tried to run away. And I made friends with a guy by the name of Donald Atkinson from Rosa River First Nation. And we planned, to take off. And when we got caught, we paid for dearly, Not only the RCMP gave us a licking, but the bigger boys that was helping them chase us down.
Were you angry at your parents that they made you go to school?
Sometimes I would think about them. I get mad for all giving me here, sending me over there where all the bad treatment is. And
Tell me how you felt when you saw your children go to that school.
well, I felt sad. My first two boys went, and then a couple of years after, the next two boys went, and so on as they got older. Yeah, I told them to be strong. I had always told them to be strong, to be able to take it like the other children.
So you sent 11 kids to residential school?
Mhm.
How many of them do you think were strong through that?
None of them. None of them.
What about your children? How do you think it affected them being in residential
Well,
school?
like I said, a little bit crazier than before they went to school. Their mind was a little bit more intact, staying at home with us. They knew how to hunt ducks, and they knew how to fish, and they knew how to snare rabbits and pick blueberries. Today you don't see that.
And you think that's the school?
Yeah, everything destroyed in our world. We didn't bother white people. White people bothered me.
Indian culture is a contradiction in terms. They are uncivilized. The aim of education is to destroy the Indian. Nicholas Flood David Report, 1879.
There are three reasons why I think residential schools are outlawed on the Canadian landscape. One is that we became strangers in our home and native land. Two is that nurturing relationships between parents and children were severed. Residential schools were a frontal attack on parenthood. Three is that it added to our mental stress in a very real way.
My name is Michael Loft. I'm from Ganawagi. I'm 55 years old. Okay, and my dad attended residential school for 11 continuous years in Spanish Ontario. He says, and once he told me a story where they were so bored, they were in the cafeteria, and they would just walk in a circle, because they couldn't just go run around, willy-nilly all over the residential school just because school was out. They had to be controlled, I guess, had to be contained, and so they would walk in circles, in the cafeteria, round and round and round and round, to deal with their boredom.
My name's Serena Fontaine. I'm 38 years old, and both my parents and grandparents went to residential school. I was at a conference that my mom was speaking at. She was giving the keynote address, and she started talking about her residential school experience during her speech. And and that's how I found out. Well, I was, of course, I was shocked and appalled, and I just felt so terrible for her. I felt frozen when I was listening to her. And it wasn't until after she finished speaking that I started thinking about our family life. I started thinking about the abuse that was very prevalent when I was a child. And I started putting connections together.
He never knew when he was going to get hit in residential school. That's the thing. So he lived like in fear of getting hit. You break a rule, you get whacked, So it was unpredictable. You couldn't, you could try to learn the rules as best as you could, but I mean, you're a kid, you'd mess up and whack, So there was that unpredictability that he brought home too. And the same thing with us. We didn't know what was going to happen, next. So it was scary.
It was very parent.
I was just going to say before that gentleman said that it would be scary as hell because you don't know what's going to happen next. You have no idea. This is just disgusting. I believe I have a son which has autism, and he had full conversations with what the doctor said was imaginary friends. I believe that he was able to communicate with him. My son is an adult now. Exactly. They should be able to be proud of their heritage, not punished for it. I know. I mean, who the hell do these people think they were to do this to somebody? They were here first, not us. Their lands first. So very sad. It is sad. It is really sad. My great-grandmother married an Irishman, and he gave her a wonderful life. They had 10 children, lived in a beautiful home like the Waltons. Then all of her family moved in with them off the reservation. Aw, I would actually love that, to have a huge, live with all my family. Just never leave the nest, have the one family home. My son randomly knows odd English words and talks to somebody when we're on the res, but refuses to discuss further. Oh, really? That's cool, though, that he knows that. Please know this is not just corrupt religion, but colonizers, government, and yeah, it's all of the above. Yep. Yeah, Sharon, I believe it, too. I did send my son back this year, and ever since he went, he lasted 2 days, and he got sick already. So he's been home all week. The Catholic Church started it and got the government to help. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I get shit because I'm mocking religion. Really? No. I don't like religion. I don't like what it stands for. I do agree. And I support people who believe in God. Absolutely. I just don't. And that's me. And I'm entitled to my belief as much as anyone else. People need to understand that. Sadly, they don't.
Parents who never had a childhood, and they didn't have any parents as role models. So we were vulnerable children. And a lot of us were abused ourselves as young children. And I also realized at that point that one of the people who abused me in my family had been a residential school survivor, a family member. And I understood why now, why I was abused.
The great aim of our legislation has been to do away with the tribal system and to assimilate the Indian people in all respects. Sir John A. Macdonald, May 2nd, 1887.
He got out, you know, like everybody gets out at 16, and he eventually made his way to Aguisaste, to his home, and he told me that he couldn't connect with them. He couldn't connect because he couldn't speak the language. He didn't understand the culture, so he couldn't take it. You know, he was frustrated. He was going nowhere, so he went back to the residential school for one more year. Because it seemed like that was home now. That was home. And that's where he could, you know, they spoke his language. And so that's where he went.
I grew up not knowing my language.
That right there, what he just said, is even more heartbreaking. He couldn't even understand his own people. He didn't know the culture. He didn't know anything. So we went back to the godforsaken school because of what they did to him. He didn't know where to go. That is heartbreaking.
And in fact, I kind of felt a bit ashamed about our language and our identity because it seemed like they were, meaning my parents and my aunts and uncles, were ashamed too in some way because they didn't want to talk about it and they didn't want to share with us about who we were.
There was a lot of fear. I think the fear that they put in him, the terror that they put in him. I mean, he managed to bring that with him. You know, went into our family. You know, and I learned terror and fear and all that as well as a child. I put fear in my sons too. That's all I knew. You know, when they were doing something that was right, I would put fear in them. You know.
Our objective is to continue until there is not a single Indian in Canada that has not been absorbed into the body politic, and there is no Indian question and no Indian department. Duncan Campbell Scott, Deputy Superintendent of Indian Affairs, January 1st, 1920.
Generally, the survivors of residential school do not commit suicide any more than the general population. Okay. It's the children of the residential school survivors who commit suicide in incredibly high numbers. You know, 6 to 7 times, you know, the provincial average. Okay.
That's something I didn't know either. It would make sense, but I didn't realize that they were unaliving themselves too. But if you think about it, why not? Why wouldn't you? After what they've been through, I would have done the same thing, I would imagine. Alcohol and drug abuse rate is so high because of all the abuse. This is why if you ask those still on the reservations, you can ask them the alcohol abuse is off the chart. Sadly, yeah, it is. I know somebody who works in a facility where there's they've got Indigenous people there here in Ontario, and they take care of them because they can't take care of themselves. You know, they've got mental disabilities and whatnot. But once a year, they get to go see their family, and that's all they do up there is drink and do drugs. Yeah.
It might just take one person to start talking about it, or perhaps a family to start talking about the fact that there is abuse. And the reason why there's that abuse is because of the residential school experience, that, you know, we're not abusive people by trade. We're not, we weren't born that way. And to be able to, I think families need to be able to realize that they're not alone, that none of us are alone anymore, that we have each other, and that it's okay to start talking about it.
We don't have the monopoly on pain and hurt, but we have and have carried a disproportionate share of it over time. And I would really like us to move forward, not to erase our memory of who we are, because residential school is certainly a part of who we are. I'd like us all to be a part of a team that really makes a lasting difference for not only residential school survivors, but the other little children who are having difficulties today.
thinking about expression of the dead children, the fact that I well traveled and educated, but learning for the first time that this was not an isolated situation. No, it wasn't. Not at all. Just to declare they would eradicate them, take away their creed, heritage, past. Yeah, 100%. I was raised in Catholic churches for years and had no idea their role until adulthood was a fault of the system. Yeah, that's the thing. When we're young, we don't know, right? Everybody's learning now. And I won't stop doing it until people are aware. Poor parents who force their kids to go there. Can you even imagine? They had no choice. They really didn't. And it's really sad. I'm putting the link in just in case any one of you want to come up and discuss this further. If you have any knowledge, or just have any stories or anything, any input, anything, I'm all ears. How do I make this a ticker? Can I have one at a time? Hey there, Mousy Girl. Just waiting to see if anybody wants to discuss this subject with me, or like I said, I'm all ears, anything. There's definitely more that I need to look into as well for next Friday for the Canadian side. Hopefully I'll have some speakers for us. The worst part is the parents were told it was a good thing, so they sent their kids willingly. And there were some parents that didn't want to, but when you have a gun to your head, guess you got no choice, right? It's just wrong all around. Well, there would be Miss Deb.
Hello.
Hi, Deb. Hi.
1 second.
Yep.
Okay. There. No echo?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, cool. So another part you might want to look into is the forced abortions and the forced physical contraception
Okay.
of the Indigenous.
You got an echo on your end, eh? Can you hear it? Oh, I don't hear it now. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I think, do you have the YouTube on in the background?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
My phone is on.
I forget all the time, too. I've even fought with people. I'm like, no, it's not me. Sure enough, I go look. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. Sorry, I forgot I had my phone on here.
Oh, no worries.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so forced abortions and the physical contraception for Indigenous people, right?
Hey, Melty girl. Yeah, they would go in and after a mother would deliver her baby,
Yeah.
they would go in and do a tubal ligation, which is, cutting the tubes.
So they can't produce more children?
Yep.
Wow. Under their own, like they would do. I'm assuming the mothers didn't want that and were
No, they would just do it. They would just do it. And if they if the mother had to have a C-section,
yeah.
a lot of times they would actually just go ahead and do a hysterectomy.
Oh,
Yep.
That's literally taking people's rights away. You can't do that. This is insane. Wow.
Yeah, they would, and they wouldn't have a cutoff point. It wasn't like, if they had 5 or 6 kids or something like that. It was a matter of, can we get away with it?
And that's the thing they did. So they kept doing it. I don't understand why nobody spoke up. Like, can you imagine the people working there? Somebody had to have a heart in there.
Yeah, they had no hearts.
Like the fact that none of them did, that is something else. They like, it seems to me that they were disgusted by Indigenous people. Like they were just, what their point was, I don't even think they wanted to teach them. I think they wanted to kill them all. That's why they put, when tuberculosis was going around, that's why they're putting the sick with the healthy purposely. So that would happen. That's what it feels like to me.
Yep. There is an author here in the United States. He is from a tribe in Washington State, I believe it is.
Okay.
I'm very sure that, but he has written a few books. But the one I can remember the title of is Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Diary of a Half-Time Indian. I'm going to look for it on Amazon.
Diary of a Part-Time Indian. The absolutely true diary of a...
Ah, shit, where'd you go? Damn it. Yeah, poor parents. They didn't have a choice. I would have gone apeshit if my kids were taken. That's what I was saying, Mousy Girl. I don't care if they had a gun or anything. I would grab whatever was near me, put my kids behind me, and I'd be fighting these bastards, these cops, RCMP. People we're supposed to trust. Yeah, you're damn right I would. You ain't taking my kid. A few years ago, a male missionary tried to preach to natives on North Centennial Island, the last truly uncolonized island on Earth. He was murdered before he could get out of his boat. Wow. Welcome back.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Looking it up and forgot to go to a different tab, so I looked it up. Yeah, sorry. His name is Sherman Alexie.
Sherman Alexie. Okay, I'll write that down too.
ShermanAlexie is his last name. And it's called The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Wow, I'm gonna look for that. I'll see if there's one for.
They call it a novel, but most of it is true.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. No doubt. Folks need to acknowledge that spreading Christianity is not always in our best interests. Yes, thank you. Oh, your balcony you're hitting. Yeah, you see, even Sayla says, I would bite somebody if I didn't have a weapon, if they tried to take my babies, right? I would totally do that. I'm so glad you're doing this. I'll have to catch rest later. This old lady has to get some sleep. No worries, Brenda. You have a good night's sleep, hun. It's just gonna be us yapping up here anyways. So you missed like the most important part. Or sorry, you watched the most important part. So you have a good night. Do you have any knowledge on the US side about all this stuff going on?
Me?
Like
oh yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna need you then, if that's all right.
No, that's fine.
It's
like I say, I can start. Like I told you, I need to start looking some stuff up for you and so forth, so that I can send it to you and
we'll do it on both channels.
Help you out with that one.
Yeah, and then you're gonna do it too as well, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
maybe do it. I'm not sorry. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm going to do this every Friday night. Every Friday night at 7 p.m. That's when I'm going to do this until I've gotten all the information out and there's nothing left to do.
Yeah, no, that's great. But yes, and you're not telling me what to do.
Okay. Sorry.
I don't see it that way. I see it as a suggestion or a request or,
And maybe
you
if
know.
you have time, you can do it once a week as well. That way we've got 2 channels doing this, and then I'll share your videos to Twitter and Instagram as well that way, and on my channel too. That way we can get more eyes on this, because I think it'd be good for doing the same thing but 2 different perspectives, and you're in the States and I'm in Canada. So I think this will be really good, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think it's great because the thing of it is that people have not paid attention because it doesn't affect them. It's like
Yeah.
everything else. It doesn't affect me, so why should I care?
Yep, and that's exactly how people are. They're only for themselves. But the thing is, though, people need to care, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna try and make that happen. We both will. It's something we need to talk about. Absolutely. I mean, I've been wanting to do the Highway of Tears for about 2 years now, but I didn't have a channel, so I didn't. And then when I got my channel, I still wanted to do it, but I didn't have a lot of people. I think I had like 150 people, maybe. I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna listen to me. So now that I'm monetized and I've got more people, like this is the perfect time. I'll do that after. Because that one's even worse. These women are missing. Some of them, because they're prostitutes, they don't want to look at it. It's like the Gary Ridgway case when no one would take it seriously because they were prostitutes. Awful.
Well, and the thing of it is that, I mean, are they missing because they've been, unalived by someone?
Yeah.
Are they missing because they've been kidnapped and traded in human trafficking?
Yeah.
I mean, why are they missing? Maybe they just picked up and relocated, but then somebody somewhere would know that.
That's what I'm thinking. And why are the police not involved? Why don't they care enough? Why? Because they're Indigenous? Racist much? Like, I mean, that's what this comes down to is religion and race and the government and all this stuff that we're supposed to believe in and accept is all wrong. It's all bad, you know?
Well, the thing of it is that I'm not excusing it, so don't take it that way, please. I'm just
Okay.
going to say they've gotten away with it for so long, and they've been able to hide away behind the government, and the government has hidden behind, blank walls that they create and things like that. So they've gotten away with it for so long that they just no longer care. And other people, have just refused to believe that it's even possible because it's been hidden for so long that they haven't seen it. And so they say, well, that can't happen, or they had to have a reason. That's my biggest pet peeve. Well,
Yeah.
they had to have a reason for doing it. Otherwise, why would they?
Yes. And I think you're right. It's very hard to believe. It is. But honestly, if you really think about it, is it really that hard to believe? There were slaves once. Is that so hard to believe? Because it happened. Is
Yeah.
it so hard to believe about, you know, Jewish people, what they did to them, putting the concentration camps? No, because it actually happened. Why can't they believe this too? Because it actually happened.
Well, a lot of people nowadays don't even believe in the Holocaust.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely do.
You know,
I
people in the
definitely.
United States don't realize that we put so many Japanese, even third, fourth generation Japanese into concentration camps during World War II. They don't believe it.
I didn't even know that until you mentioned that. That wow.
It's not just the natives or indigenous as they call them in Canada. We also call them natives.
Yeah, that's
Um, you
fine.
know, it's not just them. But the primary targets were them because that's been since that's been, of course, ever since the whites started settling here.
Yeah.
But I mean, these schools and the reservations and so forth have just suffered so much.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. The story needs to get
Uh,
out. Definitely.
But yeah, the what I call it, and it's not really a proper name for it, I guess, but what I call it is involuntary exterminate or involuntary um not extermination. Um but
Yeah.
involuntary stopping of the generations,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know. I mean, just because they were afraid of them.
Yeah.
They were afraid, they referred to them as animals and,
Wow.
you know, just there's so many different epithets for them that are just so derogatory.
Yes, very.
So, yeah, it's horrible.
It is. And I mean, these half-ass apologies are is not going to work, especially from the Pope. What a piece of crap he is. I wrote it down, Heavenly Cow. Thank you.
Well, that's the thing. The popes have been taught that, this was just a part of what had to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did it to the natives down in Mexico too.
Oh,
When the Spaniards settled Mexico, that's where Mexicans came from, is because it was owned by Spain
yeah.
and then and settled by Spain. And
I didn't know
then
that
the
either.
whites went in there and started, you know, quote unquote, don't don't hold this against me because it's a quote. They
Yep.
started breeding with them in order to try to, same as the United States and Canada, they were sold off basically as wives in order to purify them.
Oh my.
And that's where the
Purify
Mexican
them.
race came from, is from the Spanish being overtaken by the Catholics and the Catholics forcing them to intermingle and then forcing them to marry and have children in order to try to purify them.
Wow. Wow.
Bec-
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, because like the Incas and the Inca tribes and the you know, well, all of the tribes down there,
Yeah.
that's where they came from.
I did not know that. There's a lot going on in this world that, a lot of us don't know about. I didn't know about. What I do know about, though, what I'm finding out is not good at all. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of racism going on right now on the web concerning a friend of mine. That's got to stop.
Yep.
There's also, a lot of other things going around. Not just that, but just all this bullshit in general with indigenous people, with black people, with, like I said, like purple, green, red, and orange. Who gives a shit? We all bleed the same color.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's we aren't a thousand different races. We're one race. We're the human race. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter where we're from or the color of our skin or what we believe. We're all just people.
exactly. Exactly. And if white people would actually see it that way, the ones who aren't racist and stuff like that, they would see that we as a people need to stand together, not agree with what's going on with churches and the government and so on and so forth.
Right, exactly. Yeah, SD, that was what I was trying to say, is that the
Yeah,
Spanish brought the Catholicism, and then they tried to quote unquote purify them.
Yeah.
the Spanish blood. And yeah, it's ridiculous.
Look at that. Those tribes weren't Spanish until the Spanish inquisitors brought Catholicism to Middle America. Imagine that. Again, religion.
Hmm.
I swear it's the basis of all evil. It scares the hell out of me. Religion.
Not in politics.
That and politics. Those two things, yes. Yeah, absolutely. For every Gabby Petito or Summer Wells, there are 200 other children of color in Indigenous cultures that aren't blonde hair, blue eyes, that no true crime YouTube channel covers. Then I say I should start doing it. That's what I wanted this channel to be about in the first place, was paranormal and true crime, not friggin' drama and KJ. I went on to KJ and I felt the need, I still feel the need to expose her, to keep telling her, keep telling people and warning people and stuff like that, because she is
Yeah.
dangerous and someone's going to get hurt. That's why that was my true crime part for me, was her. Now, I still want to elaborate on these other subjects, even if I only have, like right now, I've got 17 people in here. I don't care. People are watching. It's 17. I do notice that people like drama more, but you know what? I don't want to be about drama. I don't care if I make money off this or not. I want what's right from wrong to be shown. I want what matters put on my platform, not this other drama bullshit. I don't want to do it anymore. That's why I've been slacking on KJ. Have you noticed?
I have. You've slowed down a lot on KJ.
I just
Mostly, and I'm mostly happy about that and proud of you for that, because there are other channels who cover her,
Mm-hmm.
and and I'm not saying that they shouldn't if that's what they feel driven to do,
Yeah.
but it's also, you're not going to change her. You're not going to get her off this platform or any other platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of, you know, things things have changed with her because we know that she's being sued,
Yes.
and, things things are being done and so forth by other people. But it's a matter of, there are so many things that can be covered, that can be brought out,
Yeah.
and they're important.
Yes, and that's what matters to me. That's why like, it's not that I'm slacking off. I'm purposely slacking off. I just don't want to do it anymore. I just don't. I am going to do a video on her. Maybe I'll go live tomorrow about a video she recently did. And oh my God, you guys, she is sticking up for the Duggars. Michelle Duggar. She said, yes, Michelle Duggar goes to every single one of her girls, including Anna, when they have their baby. She's first there and she takes care of the baby so the mothers can rest. She was talking so highly of the Duggars. I was in awe. Is this a clone? Is this a joke? What the hell happened to KJ? Did she get a cease and desist? Is she being sued again? I have so many questions. I'm glad she is. Thank God. Stop trashing them. But like the video I showed the other day, she was trashing them. And in this one, she's not. I actually watched Country Girl Brenda's video tonight. It blew my mind. I hope she sticks to that. I do. I hope KJ sticks to to what she's doing now instead of opposed to what she was doing a couple days ago. I don't have
Yeah.
high hopes though, but I really hope so.
Yeah. It would be nice if somebody could get through to her about something.
Yes. I just find it very, very strange that she's acting all nice about it. She's never been like that, ever. She hates the Duggars. She despises them. She lives to hurt them and expose them, or thinks she's exposing them. You know what I mean? And for this video that Brenda put out, I'm still in awe over it. I don't understand. What is
Yeah.
going on? So many questions.
Yep. And the thing of it is that even if you don't get answers to the important questions, if they're not asked, then people don't realize that there are no answers being given.
Yeah, that's true. Sayla says that's what I
It's
was just talking about Monday night. John Walsh never had brown people on his show looking for those missing people. They are made out to look like the bad guys. Seriously, I noticed that, and I agree. Do you remember America's Most Wanted? I never seen any black people on there that were victims. I saw them as perpetrators always,
Hmm.
to be honest.
Yeah. They I don't know. Most of these crime shows are very racist, and I got sick and tired of watching oh, what was the name of that show? Bad
Yeah.
Boys, what
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Cops.
Yeah, Cops.
Yeah.
I got sick of that because
Yeah, me too.
all of the time you saw dark-skinned, you know, the people of color were always the bad guys.
Yeah. Even Mexican, Spanish, you name it. It was never white people. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
I stopped watching too. It's just ridiculous. It was like, how much? Really? No. It was like they're just focusing on you know, one race, and it wasn't fair.
Well, and all they ever concentrated on, and I know it was designed that way, but all they ever concentrated on was catching the criminals. You never
Yeah.
saw anything beyond that.
Yes.
Was the criminal innocent? Were they
Yeah.
really not a criminal?
We never got the answer. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you never got beyond that. And to watch someone being arrested does not give me thrills. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
No, it was
I
fun.
want to know the story.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started watching it was like, oh, cool, everybody's getting arrested. This is so neat because I've never seen this before. And now I would never watch that show again. It's ridiculous. I don't like it, not at all. I think so too, Kira, that it will start slowly and definitely. I need to branch out because branching out means I get to do what I want to do and stuff that's important. That's what my channel was supposed to be. Like I said, not this KJ bullcrap. I won't get away from her completely. I'm gonna still make a video here and there, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I want to get on this stuff here. It's what matters to me most, and the paranormal. I like true crime
Right.
and paranormal. That's my go-to. I love it. Oh, Melanie,
Mm.
grounded.
I hope my stories the other night didn't bore everybody out of their minds.
Not at all. No, I love hearing your stories. Absolutely. Yeah, crime and paranormal are hand in hand. Yeah, I agree. What about
Yeah.
Megan's child that John took from her? That he's 5 days old. He let that child go into the system because she was biracial. Oh, wow. Wow. I know he took the child, but because the baby was biracial, he wanted and to put the baby. So instead of having leave the baby with the mother, which is Megan Walsh, John Walsh decided to take the baby and put it in the system. How disgusting is that? Your own parent.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm hoping to
Yep.
get on here too. Stella's working on it for me.
See that, Rose? You need to start making videos about them
Yeah.
or doing lives. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Her channel's pretty good too. I like it.
But I just wanted to suggest those because that is also a huge part of what they did to the natives was try to keep them from they wanted to exterminate the race by
Yeah.
even, even taking away their ability to procreate, to have
Yeah.
children and yeah.
And the babies that they did have from these disgusting priests, they burned in furnaces. What the hell is that shit about?
Yeah.
Wow. So they're being RAE or RAPED'd from priests who you're supposed to trust. And then you get pregnant and you have this baby. You're forced to give this baby up. They just take it from you and burn it in a furnace. Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, listen to
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Shayla's like,
They
yes, John Walsh took the other grandkids with them because they are white.
some of these schools, from what I have heard, some of these schools actually had crematoriums so that they could get rid of the bodies because they filled up the graveyards that they created for the
Yeah.
bodies of the children who died there.
Makes me sick. Really does.
I mean, and sometimes they would put them in alive just to get rid of them because they didn't have the ability to feed them, or they just got tired of them being problems.
Isn't that I don't even know what to say to that. It's completely true. That's what's scary. It's sad, it's disgusting, and there's not enough eyes on this, and there's not enough apologies ever in the world or money in the world to make things right again. What will
Well,
make
no.
things not even right, but what would help things is to keep talking about this and spreading awareness so it doesn't happen again in the future.
Well, that's the thing. Stop denying it. Stop trying to hide it. Stop trying to buy them off.
Yeah,
Give them a voice.
exactly.
That's what they need. They need to have a voice, and people need to be believing them.
Yeah, and I absolutely do. I've been on this for a while since it came out about the children, but before that, I was focusing on, like I said, you know, the Highway of Tears, and it was just unbelievable that nobody gives a shit about them. Nobody will help them. Nobody. And I mean, it's the same thing as prostitution. Like I said with the Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. That's
Right.
why he got away with, oh, I can't remember how many, 30s, 40, 50 murders, something like that, if not more, because the police didn't care enough because they were prostitutes. Same with that other serial killer, Robert, the one from Alaska. He did the same thing, would take prostitutes and he would murder them. He would actually tell them to run in the woods where he lived so he could shoot them. Yeah.
Right.
And again, no one even gave a shit about that because they were prostitutes. Same with Indigenous people.
Yeah. Yeah. The Eskimo natives up in Alaska, they didn't put them on reservations. They enslaved them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible
Yeah. It's inexcusable. And it's just,
because they weren't people,
yeah.
just like the Africans that were brought over and sold into slavery, and the United States was not the only one. England had it.
Wow.
England had slavery, I mean,
Well, yeah, I assumed with
they
slavery
weren't
was all
people.
over the world. Definitely. I think it was a worldly thing because the government said it was okay. Everyone did it. That's what I think.
I don't understand how 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 people could not see them as
People.
people.
I don't either.
I mean, how do you think that these people are not people?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll let you go because I just wanted to bring that up and you know give you an idea about that because I didn't know whether you knew or not.
No, I
So
didn't. I'm glad you told me. And I think this would be great. Both of us working on this. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know me, I'm a researchaholic, so
Exactly. So I think this would be like you'll probably get more info than me, which is good. Put it on your channel, you know what I mean? Then you get more stuff out and I'll get stuff out that you don't know about, or you know what I mean? With two
Right.
different like we're a team, but you got your channel, I got mine, and the more and more people that know, I think is the better. Absolutely.
right. Well, I think most of the people on my channel are from your channel, but you
You
know,
know what though? You'll grow and you'll get people that aren't even on my channel. Seriously. You'll get your own people and then you'll see that you've got these people that are always by your side from beginning to end. That's how I found Teresa. She's been, my ride or die since day one. Her and Support Your Troops and Athletes. I'm trying to think. There's a few others that left and have come back actually. Yeah. They left. They didn't like what I was doing at the time and they left and now they're come back. So I mean, I'm glad I'm doing better. It's showing anyways.
well, I like what you do, so I'm going to stick around. And like I say, I mean, even if most of the people who come from your channel are who come to my channel, then, like you say, we can cover different topics, and we can cover different things from the same topic and so forth, and hopefully build an education system around this type of thing.
Oh, definitely will. You'll see though, once you start getting your numbers start getting up and you get monetized, you're gonna see that you've had people from the beginning that stick with you always. And then you'll see different people come in there that just adore you and love you for the person you are. And they will tell you that and you'll be like, holy crap, yeah, they aren't even subs to Nikki's channel. Or they'll sub to me because of you even. You know what I mean? And be like, yeah, that's my people over there. And I don't know, it's just neat to see how it just all comes out. It's really neat. Oh, there's your, yeah, thank you, Teresa. I was going to tell you to post Sayla's and Deb's channel.
Yeah, you've got a lot more confidence in me than I have. I doubt I'm ever going to get up there
You
to be
will.
monetized or anything,
You
but
will, but it will take a while to get there, but you will. It takes a while. It takes a long time. Like I know people that are monetized and it took them forever, years to even get 4,000 subs. It takes a long time because your channel will all of a sudden go kind of stagnant. Like I was stuck at 1,500, 1,500 forever, like 6 months. It would not budge. Now, I don't know, what am I at? 2,280 something. And that's so it's amazing. You will grow, I promise you. It takes a while though. Just keep that in mind. It will take a while. And it can give you actually I'll give you a tip. In order to get your channel to grow, if you have the time, even if you have 10 minutes at least, say at least 10 minutes, make a video every single day. If it's a thought, if it's a thought you had, if it's a little clip you've seen, narrate on it, do commentary on it, but just make one every single day. And you'll always be in the algorithm. And that's how you get your subs. That's how you grab people's attention and you'll stay in the algorithm. That's what worked for me.
Okay.
Yep. Just
Okay.
always have
Yeah.
that way your name's always out there.
I'll have to do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, even if it's 10 minutes, just do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
And
can.
hashtags are important too. I see that you're putting them in now, so that's good. I hope that drives more traffic too. I don't know. It's like hashtags work. People see it and they're like, oh, damn. Like with the book you're reading now about Lizzie Borden, I'm surprised you don't have more people in there. Like that's one of the best stories out there and one of the true crime things that have happened that's just amazes people to this day. I think, oh yeah, another thing I wanted to tell you is when you get a chance, when you're done your book, you should show the bed and breakfast now, because that's what it is. Lizzie Borden's house is now the bed and breakfast.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would show that, just stuff like that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to give you some ideas.
No, you don't be
I just
sorry. You know, if I take offense, Nikki, you will know it. Believe me.
Yeah, I had a feeling I would.
Anybody who makes me angry or crosses me knows it. I am not shy.
No, good. I'm glad. I'm not either. Well, you can tell my F word usage. When I get upset, yeah, it flies. I can't help it. It's just who I am.
Yeah. Well, I've told you before, you know, I appreciate your help. I have to figure out on StreamYard how to like share my screen and
I can
do
help.
that sort of thing and so forth. So,
I
see,
can definitely
you
show
can
you.
help.
Yep.
I don't know how to make those little posts on that pop up on the homepage about, you know, I'm not going to be able to do a video today or something like that. Just the little posts instead of
Oh, the community tab. You have to have 500 subscribers to get that.
okay,
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
See?
And
I
then
didn't know this.
you need 500 subscribers. So that's usually everyone's first goal because it's neat to have that. You can talk to your audience and you can ask them what they want. You can do polls on there and just tell them what's up. Yeah, it's a good way to interact.
Yeah, it is. So that's why I was wondering about it and I appreciate, see? You teach me something every single day. You literally do.
I'm glad I can help. Is that so? You use StreamYard, right? Because I can
I
show
do.
you how to share it. Like, well, right now you're in StreamYard then because you're on here. Do you see at the bottom of your screen where it says share screen?
Oh, okay, where it says share. Okay, gotcha.
So if you click on that, like even right now, it'll say slides, extra camera, video file. The bottom one is the one you want, the share screen. So
Okay.
if you want to click on that with me, just so you can kind of get like, click on that, it will say share screen. And then it
Okay.
says, you know, sharing screens, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to worry about the 3 top things. And then it said, so just go right to share screen again. So you do. Now there's 3 options. You can show your entire screen, which I don't suggest because it literally shows everything, all the tabs you have open, everything. Then it
Okay.
says there's a window that you can show. I don't use that. I use the tab, the very third one. The third one I use is the Microsoft Edge tab for me. And it shows all the stuff in your thumbnails that you want to show. And you just click on one. I'll click on here. Here's a game I'm playing. I'm going to share it. So I'm playing this game. It's called Happy Acres. It's ridiculous. It's stupid and it's fun. If it would
Where it
show up.
says follow these
Oh, yeah.
steps.
Yeah.
Some
just,
screens
yep,
let you
just go
share
right to-
audio.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, of course, it won't share for me. Brat. Oh, well. It's lagging on me. But yeah, that's my farm game.
Okay.
Whenever it shows up.
Alrighty.
But that's just go to share and just kind of fool around with it. Like, because if you go to the StreamYard,
Okay.
you don't have to go live to figure stuff out either. That I didn't know. I do know that now. So you can go in and just screw around with it and try putting in slides, figure that out. I think that's like
Okay.
downloaded videos and stuff that you can put in.
Daisy.
That finger lace.
Daisy.
Okay.
Stop.
I can do that, Junior.
I'm sorry. My dog loves to bark. This time she was barking at one of the corners.
Oh, no worries.
So I know there's somebody there.
Yep.
She barks at the corners when I have
Definitely.
visitors.
Yeah, there's my little.
So
Yeah, I remember you saying that too.
alrighty. Well, thank you.
Yeah, say let's do the same thing. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate the input.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I just thought I'd add that. That's one of the things that happened to Sherman Alexei is that after he was born, they actually involuntarily sterilized his mother.
That is
So
disgusting.
Yep. Yep. It is. It is horrible. So
Yeah.
alrighty, sweetie. I'm gonna stay in the chat, but
All
I'm
right.
gonna go ahead and click out so somebody else can come
Yeah, I'm
up.
gonna end this.
All right.
Oh, I don't know if they want to. I think I'm gonna end it. No, I've got a wrench. I'm not afraid to use it. Yeah, I think the website is down for the Minnesota Hellion. You want to give me a timeout so you can practice using your wrench? I hope I don't have to use it, but it's good to know. If you can grab Nikki's links, you can post them in here for her, like her copy link and PayPal and things like that. I can't from my phone. Yeah, Teresa can't post a lot of things from her phone, which is fine. She doesn't have a computer or anything, so I won't never give her shit about that. But I don't expect you guys to post links or anything. It's a good idea if you did, and it's nice if you do, but I don't expect it. I'm more like, okay, if there's a jerk in my stream, then yeah, block them. But I never had that, ever. The last one got blocked. Yes, you've been a bad girl. Oh, thanks for doing this with me, guys. I appreciate it very much. I'll be back on Friday, so I'm going to make another thumbnail for this, and we'll discuss more of Canada and its bullshit. And then if I'm done, when I get done with the Canadian one, we'll go right to the States, and then I'm going to do The Highway of Tears. That one really needs to be done because these women are still missing and no one seems to care. I care. And I want it to be known. And I want everyone to know about it. And hopefully, we'll find out something. I have a feeling it's like a serial killer or something like that, That scares the fuck out of me. All I can do is share channels and block. That is useful, though. I don't even have to tell you anymore. You just do it. As soon as I'm going to say something, you have already done it. There you go. Deb shared one. Thank you. Thank you, Sayla. All right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me. I might go live tomorrow. Like I said, I wanted to... Country Girl Brenda, check out her channel. She did do a video about KJ. And like I said, it was just... I'm still in awe after watching that. And it was just... I can't believe she's being nice to the Duggars. Something's up here. I mean, is this her clone? I mean, I'm just kidding about that, but something's up. She's never nice to them. Ever, 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 ever. You go eat your burnt sandwich. Oh, yeah, you mean your burnt grilled cheese. You are mind reader. It's funny. All right. You guys have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow, I imagine. I'll probably go live. My son's gone for the weekend, so you know what? I'm going to go live. I know I will. I don't know what time, but I will. Your PayPal link is giving me a PayPal page. Uh-oh. I'll have to take that off. I don't know what's doing that. Thanks for telling me that, Autistic. I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah, I think that website's down, Autistic. There's Brenda's channel. All right, you guys have a great night. I had to go check out what the hell's going on with PayPal. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.